Welcome to my views and news. Some new stories for you. First one is from Germany. Eritrean opposition groups had a taste of their own medicine yesterday when their program was stormed by a group of Eritreans. Obviously, the program was disrupted. Opposition members have been disrupting festivals, Eritrean government-backed festivals being organized in Europe. Since last year, we have been seeing attacks by opposition groups on the festival venues, festivals organized by Eritrean government. But yesterday we saw that a program organized by Eritrean opposition groups was attacked by, it seems, pro-Eritrean government elements. Secondly, a curfew has been imposed in another town in the North Shore zone of the Amhara region. Third town in the North Shore zone where curfew has been imposed. Thirdly, Yohanes Buyalew, member of Amhara Regional Council, spoke yesterday at Regional Council meeting. A fiery speech by Yohanes. Yohanes was sidelined last year by Ethiopian PM Abiy. He leveled serious allegations. We'll have a look at what he said. And lastly, Abebaw Tadesse, top Ethiopian general, spoke yesterday. He spoke about special forces. Are there special forces operating in the Tigray region of Ethiopia? Which forces are operating in the Tigray region? Abebaw Tadesse spoke yesterday. We have details for you. Firstly, first news story is from Germany. What happened around a week ago in Germany? More than a week ago, in Gießen, Germany, Eritrean government-backed group or pro-Eritrean government group organized a festival. Opposition groups, Opposition Brigade Nehamedo, threatened to stop the festival by force. We saw that Gießen government, local government, banned the festival, but a court allowed the festival to be held. Festival was held, but across Europe we saw that Eritrean opposition members entered Gießen, and we saw clashes between the police, Gießen police, and opposition groups members. More than 20 police officials were injured. Festival was held under very tight security, but during the two-day festival, traffic flow was disrupted. People's lives were affected very badly. That is why after that we saw statements from Gießen mayor, from two opposition parties demanding a ban on Eritrean festivals which are creating conflicts in Germany. And since last year, we have been seeing that Eritrean opposition groups have been carrying out attacks on those venues where pro-Eritrean government diaspora groups organize festivals. For the first time, we saw an attack yesterday by pro-Eritrean government elements on a venue where a festival, a program was being organized to raise money. The funds were being raised for orphan children of Tigray. So it means that both Tigrayans and Eritreans, opposition Eritreans, were attending this program, 3-day long program. And yesterday was the first day. What happened is that after the program kicked off, around 20, more than a dozen masked men stormed the venue. The program was disrupted. Those who attacked the venue, they broke windows. Furniture was damaged too. Police was there too, reportedly. One attacker was arrested and handed over to police. Yesterday, program was disrupted. Will it be held today? We don't know. In coming hours, we'll see. But yesterday, the program was disrupted. 3-day program. And opposition groups are accused, by the way, by pro-Eritrean government groups, that opposition groups have Tigrayans as their members. That mainly Tigrayans allegedly are part of opposition groups. They're not Eritreans. Allegedly. Pro-government groups reject these opposition groups as Tigrayans. Yesterday's program was a joint program being attended by Tigrayan and opposition Eritreans. You see now that storming festivals is not a solution. Maybe for the time being it could produce some results, but it could lead to more violence between different Eritrean groups abroad. If opposition groups are attacking pro-government festivals, pro-government elements are going to attack opposition festivals. So this will go on. It won't lead to any healthy progress towards the goals set by opposition groups. Opposition groups say that these festivals being organized in Europe are a source of fundraising by Eritrean government. Eritrean government raises funds through these festivals. It blackmails people, Eritreans. But festivals cannot be banned altogether. Big festivals will be converted into small festivals, and festivals will be organized in the properties which are owned by Eritrean pro-government elements. They won't rent properties. They'll try to organize festivals inside their own properties. So festivals cannot be banned altogether. But this violence between Eritrean groups, opposition and pro-government, is increasing now in Europe especially. Not in US or Canada. Mainly in Europe we are seeing this new development since last year. Both sides are using force now. They should have been involved in dialogue, in discussions, in exchange of views, but they are resorting to violence, both sides. A clip for you from yesterday, small clip, a few seconds clip showing how Tigrayan Eritrean joint program was stormed by some unknown attackers who would be definitely Eritrean government backed elements in diaspora. Watch the clip. Secondly, because curfew has been imposed in another town of the North Shore zone of the Amhara region. North Shore, I've been saying, is the most destabilized zone of the Amhara region. Most assassinations so far happened in North Shore. Girma Shitila, Abdu Hussain, Debre Birhan, police chief, and several others assassinated in North Shore. And in North Shore there is Shoafano, Blat Shigav Shoafano, very organized and armed reportedly. We know that in Shore Orbit, which is in North Shore, security situation has been very fragile for the past 2 months. Several attacks on police, PP officials in Shore Orbit. A temporary command post of Ethiopian National Defense Force was set up in Shore Orbit. Curfew was imposed too. Then we saw that 3 days ago, curfew was imposed in Ararati, which is again in a North Shore zone. And now curfew in another town, another Wareda of the North Shore zone of the Amhara region. Name of this town is, this Wareda is Mida Vramo Wareda, where authorities have imposed limited curfew. Restrictions have been imposed on movement of people and vehicles. Carrying of all types of weapons banned. And a temporary command post has been established. Ethiopian National Defense Force is in charge of security of this Wareda. We saw imposition of curfews when Tigray fighters were in the Amhara region. It was in 2021, after July, that curfews were imposed in Vuldia, in Dasi, etc. But there is no Tigray force in Amhara region. Curfew imposed. That just shows that it is becoming increasingly difficult for a regular security structure of the region to counter security challenge posed from Fano fighters. There is no regular effective security structure in the Amhara region because Amhara special force have been disbanded. Special forces disbanded, police, militia there, but they are not ready and they are not willing to fight against Fano fighters. They are scared too, their top commanders are being assassinated. That is why the regional government, local governments have limited options. Last option is that they should impose curfew. But if curfew is violated, what is the next option? Curfew is always the last option. It should be treated as last option. It shouldn't be tried, I think. Other security restrictions should be put in place. Other security forces should be involved. Curfew should be the last option, because after curfew, if curfew is violated, which options do these security forces have? But since curfew imposed in different towns, it means that other options have been exhausted. Other security forces are unable to control the situation. By the way, I've been saying that police, Amhara police cannot counter Fano. Fano fighters are not just militia members, they have Ethiopian National Defense Force members too. They have large number of Amhara Special Force members too, as members of Fano. These are battle-hardened people. Regular police cannot control the insurgency launched by Fano fighters. Thirdly, viewers, Yohanes Buyalew, Amhara Member of Parliament, spoke yesterday at Amhara Regional Council session. He delivered a very fiery speech. Yohanes was sidelined from the Prosperity Party last year. He was removed from his position. He was working in a federal position, but he was removed. His security guards were arrested at one point. Later, they were released reportedly. He and Gado Andergacho were two Amhara leaders who were sidelined last year. Why? Because the two were seen as hardliners, as supporters of hardliners in the Amhara region. Yohanes spoke yesterday at Amhara Regional Council meeting. Firstly, he criticized the speaker. I think the speaker of Amhara Regional Council is a lady. He said that the speaker seems to be from Adwa. She is not allowing us to speak. And then he criticized journals, criticized the federal government, Ethiopian National Defense Force. He said Amhara people are being marginalized. Those journals who fought are suffering. and I think he was referring to former Amhara Special Force commander who was not allowed to travel abroad and who was fired from his position last year. And those channels, according to Yohanes Buyalew, who are working to destabilize Amhara are free to operate. He said that we should unite, Amhara people should unite. House should form a committee to conduct research and to come up with recommendations to resolve the issue. Amhara people are in danger, and defense, Ethiopian National Defense Force, without permission from regional government, entered the region and is carrying out activities here without consultation, without approval, without permission from the regional government. Special forces, which were power, Amhara people's power, Amhara region's power, have been disbanded. So he criticized the government, federal government, regional government a lot. Yohanes said, I might be killed. Very alarming statement. He said, I speak for Amhara people, one day I might be killed, but I'll keep on speaking for the Amhara people. You see, the frustration in the Amhara region is building up. People, if these prosperity party leaders say that they can be killed, it means that overall there is deficit of trust between regional government leaders and the federal government leaders. Some are being killed by Fano fighters, and some allegedly could be killed by federal elements which are part of federal forces, it seems. That seems to be the case in the Amhara region. House did not form a committee. Yohanes requested the formation of a committee, and he proposed talks with Fano too. That proposal already accepted. Amhara regional government has offered to hold talks with the Fano factions operating. I'll do a separate video on that. Last, it was Abebaw Tadesse, Deputy Chief of Staff of Ethiopian National Defense Force, spoke yesterday. He replied to questions about special forces. Are there special forces operating in the Tigray region of Ethiopia? He said no. He said only police and militias are operating in Tigray, like in other regions of Ethiopia, only police and militia. He said special forces disbanded, not disbanded, restructured according to him, and special force members will be part of police, they'll be part of federal police, regional police, or Ethiopian National Defense Force. Now, one point. As long as there are militias in these regions, it means that security structure is not disciplined. Because militias are not very disciplined. Regular forces are disciplined. They obviously undergo trainings too, long trainings. There's chain of command too. But as long as there are militias in regions, it means that security structure is not very compact. It is not very disciplined. So on the one hand, special forces have been disbanded. Special forces were more disciplined than militias. Militias allowed to continue. So I am unable to understand the security policy of the federal government. Militias should be brought under discipline. They should be part of regular police or regular force. Special forces were already operating as regular forces, but they were mainly disbanded because government wanted to disband Amhara special forces, because government is going to make some decisions in coming days about return of IDPs, future status of Raya, Volkaya, etc. That is why Amhara special forces were disbanded, and then other region special forces had to be disbanded too. Thank you for watching.